Hello, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcasts. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I'm going to be your host every week, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Lisbon time, as we do this journey and adventure of wellness in all parts of our lives. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcast. I'm your host, Laleh Hancock, and today I actually have a very special new friend that entered my life, and I knew I had to bring him into this conversation about wellness and looking at our businesses, looking at our lives, looking at the world of fashion, looking at Mother Earth and that partnership that we can bring with our bodies, with everything that surrounds us. And today, hello, my new friend, Paulo Gomes. Welcome.
Hello, it's a welcome to having me here. That's a pleasure, Laleh. How are you?
I'm doing so well now that I know you and I are going to have these fun conversations.
Yeah.
For you
You
guys,
are loving to live in Portugal?
yeah,
You
it's
are, yes?
it's become one of my new favorite countries.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you like it. Yes.
Yeah. So for all of you out there, I know some of you know Paulo really well. I mean, we're talking about editor of Elle magazine. He has been in the fashion industry for over 30 years. He was actually a pioneer in bringing a lot of fashion and really bringing the world of fashion to Lisbon. And not only that, he's done photography. He's just one of these amazing people that just is never bored. he's always creating something new in the world. So, Paulo, we were chatting and I was fascinated by like the beauty that you see in the world. And we were talking about reminiscing when you were a kid in your parents' car. So can you share with the audience, a little bit more about you and maybe those little seeds that started to plant as a young child that actually assisted in who you are today?
Yeah. I don't know exactly if it are a seed. For me, now I can see back when I look back when I was a child. Now I understand maybe it was a seed or it was something, it was in my genetic code. I don't know. Now, yes, I remember because I work, as you said, in fashion world for 32 years already. I did everything with the high-end luxury because I was editor of a fashion editor of Elle magazine. I was creative director of the Fashion Week in Portugal for 20 years. I have a program about fashion television for 7 years. So I did everything in fashion in Portugal from the beginning because when I start in the late 80s, we come from Salazar. It was a dictator. So it was a gray country, We don't have information. We don't have magazines. We don't have model agencies. So I was in the beginning of everything of this,
Mm.
because we start with doing casting in the streets. We don't have model agencies. So everything, it was new and it was an experience. But I remember now when I was a kid, I remember, for example, when we go in the Sundays, going around, and I was in the back seat of the car with my parents, and I look at the window, and everything for me, it's a composition, you know what I mean? Like the image, they have to fit all together in the way I think it was the best composition in the aesthetic way. So, but now I remember that now because on that time I just living the experience of living, in the world. But when I grow up, I realized that for me, the aesthetic and the image, the composition of the image, it was something real important for me. And I'm aware of this kind of things, everything surrounds me in the life. So when I was in the university, because I went to study psychology and I was a good student, so I was in this dilemma of continuing psychology or going to fashion, because at the third year, I was starting doing fashion already in shows. I was doing shows as a model in the beginning, but I didn't like it. It was just for 1 year. And after the backstage, doing the shows, doing the fashion catalogs for the fashion designers, uh, all these ideas about image. In the way, we go to stop in the image all my life, So even now, I'm a new paradigm, as we go to speak later. I'm more in the sustainable approach for the fashion chain. But even now, I will introduce the static and the image in this paradigm as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. We talk about sustainability, and a
Yeah.
lot of people have a lot of different kinds of definition of what's sustainability. Like, what is that for you? Because I know you spent the last few years really focusing on sustainability of fabric, and not just fabric, just
Not the fabric.
sustainability of so many things. So can you share some of that with the audience too?
Yes. For me, it was new. First, it was new when I start this project. It calls Manifesto Moda, because I start with the smart textiles, the textiles, because when we work with fashion, we work with the garments, we work with the clothing. For me, it was always the clothing and the image. And after I realized then we have a body and we have an environment, and the fabric makes the relation between both of Bob and the context. So we go back from the beginning of the clothing process, and it's a textile. And I find out that in Portugal, we are really well in this area of the textile business. We are suppliers for a lot of brands. So I realized that in Portugal, I have a lot of solutions, new solutions for our well-being, for protection, for example, we have fabrics that make the thermoregulator, so we go warm or go colder if you are inside or outside, the anti-mosquito repellent for clothing, a lot of solutions, the smart solutions for textiles. And I realized when I started doing the trade shows, the textile trade shows all over the world, then the new generation is really concerned about the environment.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, let's do something about it, because we need to have this thing is really boring. It's organic cotton. Everything is beige. Everything is, pastel. We don't have glamour it was 4 years ago. So I think, no. Let's introduce all the skills, all the tools we have from the past, from this fashion more glamorous, but let's use these tools. It's a tool, but of glamorize this question of the sustainable. So I was going to Copenhagen, because Copenhagen, the Fashion Week of Copenhagen is really focused just in a sustainable approach, and all the big players in the world, they get together in May, not this year because it was exceptional, but other years I went there and we discussed, it's 2,000 people going there to discuss ideas for this new concept, new paradigm, that it's a loop, to close the loop of the fashion system, the chain, from the when you plant in the ground, the plant from the cotton, until the hand when you go and put away your garment, it's old, and you go to the landfill, that after it's a waste. We have to close this loop. So I was thinking and reflecting and discussing we go to a lot of workshops, we do a lot of discussing together to find solutions in all the chain to close the loop. So for me, it's not just the material, it's not just the fabric, it's all the process, all the connections, all the interfaces between the consumer, the producer, and how we make this circle continuous all the time.
And this is one of my favorite topics, actually. So the last 6 years, I've been part of a global reach talking about benevolent capitalism. Because when capitalism initially got started, it was exchange of goods. It was like, instead of me carrying my cow everywhere I go, that's one of my favorite ways of saying it. It actually became this easy exchange between two people doing business together or creating their life, right? And benevolent was never meant to be what we make it now to be, charity. It was the creation of something that can work for both of us, you know?
Yes.
It makes it work for everyone involved, actually, which includes the earth. And I know like our first conference was in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, about 6 years ago. And I remember there was probably 40 of us, 50 of us in the room. And then we had 100 people around the world online streaming. And we thought,
Imagine.
like back then, it was like so rare. Nobody
Now it's
wanted
normal, but if that time it was not normal to that.
nobody wanted to talk about it. It was like we were the crazy, about 100 people, 150 or 200 people that were willing to have these conversations of it's not don't have a business. It's not let's just go
Yeah.
hug a tree. Well, hug a tree because it's good for you too, wellness wise. But it was how can we look at how we function every day, how our businesses function every day, and bring this partnership so that yes, a business needs to make money. Okay. I think a lot of times people go the extreme. They're like, oh, capitalism's bad, so I have to not make money. No, no.
Yeah.
Even a
Yeah.
not-for-profit organization has to have profit.
Of
You
course, of
know,
course.
it's just that how
That,
they're tax deferred is different.
that's why when I go to this kind of conference, yeah, usually when it's the young people, the young generation, all this the girls, I said the vegan girls, and when I said refer to them, because what I say stop the consume is not that the new paradigm. As you said and really well, the new thing is we have to become all together to find solutions. And there are some kind of basic pillars, it's important, the traceability, the transparency, work together, do get together to find solutions. That is the new revolution, I think, in the sustainable area. Because before, after the 80s and in the 90s, when all the consumer grew up 500 times plus, and everybody was focusing themselves, the individual, the individual, the individual. And now again, we are start talking in partnerships, in corporativism, in get together to find solutions. That I think it's a big revolution because we are really, really focusing ourselves a lot of times and making money, and we forgot about the planet, we forgot about the others, we forgot about the chain, the social approach. So what I think is it's really important to have the money to focus in business, otherwise we can change the paradigm because all the companies there keep receiving money because otherwise we don't have jobs, we don't have employment. So it's really a cause for the economy and for the society. But at the same time, we have to focus in the person and to be really very friendly to the planet.
Yeah. I remember one year, many years ago, businesses, I have a couple businesses and we started very much, of course, in the US, and then kind of broaden out. And I remember one year I had my accountant doing some different reports for me, and I realized
Yeah.
the smallest part of my business back then was translation, because most of it was in
Mm-hmm.
English. And that first time when we ran the report, we had hired 60 translators that year. Now, one translator we might have used multiple times, but in 1 year, we had hired 60 translators. And if we weren't willing to hire them, maybe their businesses wouldn't have grown. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to have food at the table. Like it's this concept, you know what I mean? That we have to look like clothing and not just clothing. I'm just going to call it the garment industry, right? Or even
Yes,
the construction industry. One house employs how many people to build one house? You have how many businesses and how many individuals that get involved in that one house. That's how we boost the economy. That's how we get everyone to thrive together,
yeah.
And
And plus experience. Now I'm really focused in this project in the science. So what I bring with universities, not the fashion universities. What I want concern is to get together with the people that have developed new ideas and new solutions from the science. For example, bacteria. For example, microalgae. You have introduced these kind of solutions in the textile and the fashion world. Because we have new ideas. Everybody have a new idea about some issues, some questions we have to solve, and to find a solution. That's a good thing you are saying, because if you go, it's a global scale we are living now, and there are different approaches for the same kind of issue. So you have to listen, and we have to share, and you have to together to find this solution. I think the science in the fashion world, in the textile world, it's a very, very good experience that I have now, because when I talk with these young investigators, these scientists, it's so amazing because they see the world in a different way. But when we get together to share these things, we find solutions that we are not aware that it's possible to bring together. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I grew up with my dad being in the textile industry. So all my life, well, the beginning part of my life, like he would teach us about fabric and he would talk to us about, I mean, I told you my dad, you know, we were from Iran. And so like, even like talking about a Persian rug and how the handcraft, like people using their hands, and then the dye that was used, but everything was natural. Everything was in communion with the earth. You know what I mean? And these days, I understand more of what my dad tried to tell me, you know, 40 years ago. Back then, you know, I understood probably 1% of what he was talking about, but getting the appreciation now more than ever. And, you know, when I came to Portugal and we had the lockdown, being an entrepreneur, I was like, okay, so I've got the businesses going. What else? And it was Laleh's Closets has always been wanting to come and be created around the world. And I told you, it's not just a clothing store. It was communion between the body, right? When you have a different kind of communication with your body, the clothing just fits different. Your body has more ease, but it exudes a different kind of energy, which we're all energetic beings. So energy actually, you know, brings you more creativity,
But
possibility.
yes, and we have to bring back. We have to bring back to the consumer as a consumer, because I'm a consumer, as you are a consumer. So I remember when I buy a clothes, a piece of a garment before, I have a story with that garment. Sometimes I have to keep all the money to buy this Yamamoto coat, for example. And I still have this coat. Nowadays, with just the fast fashion, we lose all these things, you know. We lose all the memories in the garments. We lose all the emotional experience we have with the clothing. And I think it's time to go back and to have this kind of emotions again, because when we have these emotions with the garment, we have where the people are surrounding us, because we can tell a story with the garment to the other. It's not just to buy 200 t-shirts for 20 years, you know what I mean? It's a question of telling a story and to know who's behind my clothing, who did my clothing, because there are human beings who are doing this as well. In Bangladesh or in China or even in Portugal, the people have a story to tell, and the garment, it's a platform to amplifies what you have to say.
Well, and the energy of them gets exuded in the clothes. I mean, you know, you can walk by a store and there's something that captures your body and just kind of pulls you in. It is. It's that energy of all of that put together.
It's an impulse. We buy by impulse, yes.
But it's pulling you. Like this necklace here is from Australia. And for me, like it was the story of the pearls. You know what I mean? But it also is that the pearls have their own consciousness and their own energy. And so they pull too, you know? And I one of these days I'm gonna have my own jewelry museum, which I know one day soon. I don't know when, but I'm gonna do that because most people don't know the gifts of jewelry either. And like you're talking about, you know, when we talk about fashion, it's everything. It's not that every day you need to wear pearls. It's even the smallest things, like even like the mask, right? This is one that we created. This is from Laleh's Closet.
It's already Portuguese.
You have to have a message to say hello because people don't know your story
It's bad. Yeah, it's good. And we have to have fun and pleasure with the things as well. Huh? We can't lose this.
And it's sustainable and washable. And you
Uh-huh.
can breathe. But like it's like there's so many things in this magical world that would like to gift to us and allow us to create a thriving, sustainable but thriving planet as well.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
know there's so many people out there. Like I know I'm going to bring you back on a show and we're going to talk about your new special project, which I'm zipping. I'm not telling anyone about, but I'm
Not
so
yet. Yeah.
excited about. But this is what happens when you put creative people inside a house for a few months to be
Mm.
locked down. And then there's some brilliant ideas that come. So for inspiration, like what are some tools or ideas you would share with others? Because I know we have a broad audience of age, background, and countries that listen to this. So, like, just to inspire them, because I know sometimes, when changes happen on the planet, like this particular last few months has been a universal change and
Yeah.
alteration of changing tracks, like something that, I don't know, what are some words of inspiration that
I
you?
know. For me now, because in life we do so many different things, and we are. I don't know. We grow up when all the society said to you, you have to do this particular thing. You are good in doing this thing. I grow up, everybody saying to me, okay, I'm a very good fashion editor because I choose the right photographs, the right concept. And I never was like this, because for me, everything is in connection, is in the interaction with everything we do with everybody. So for me now, then I am more aware of the problems. I'm more aware of the solutions we have to find really urgent, because the planet is really collapsing and we have to do really something really urgent. So I'm trying to imagine everything I did, all the people I met already, all the countries I went already, because I go to Africa, to South America, to Iran, when I went to Iran, that I love. All these places that for me are different. I learn always something. And when I learn some things, it's with the people. It's the people who matter. And the relationship with the people, with the environment. This is for sure the basic, but still the more important thing. So when I think in the new solutions, the new path for this chain and for this world of clothing or textiles, I think always to put again the people in the system. You know what I mean? The handcraft. When you mix the handcraft, the people have some skills to work with the hands, but at the same time, you can have the art. Then is the science. It comes from the science. So you put all the things at that kind of bipolar. You know what I mean? The science, the more technical.
Yeah.
You know, the technology here and the handcraft here, but you put all together and you have like pow. You know what I mean? You have something really new, and something then can help the others, and it can help you to live better in this planet. So I think it's so cool to apply the creativity. Then we have to make a good image. In the new thing, it's to this thing of getting together with respect for the other and for the planet. I think it's easy, can be really creative, and I think it's time to really push it to go further. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys are curious, where do I even start? It starts with a question. Even ask, what do I know that I
Yeah.
haven't
What can
yet?
I do? And what can I do? The question is, what can I do? It's just because the people usually they stay with the mobile all the time to watch what are the other ones are doing. And they don't stop to think, what can I do? What is in my hand? Sometimes you don't need money. Sometimes, of course, you need money, as you said, but to think about what I am doing here in this planet nowadays, the situation we are living, that we are, hey, billion people in the world, you know what I mean? Because we are a little lucky people to live here in Portugal, you in the States, now in Portugal as well. But we are really lucky people, but it's our responsibility as well as human beings to think in the other, to think about the others, the situation we create, everybody together. So I think we have to do something really. Sometimes it's just to do something for one person or for yourself, but do it, not just staying at home watching Netflix. You know what I mean? We have to do something.
Take action is what my friend is saying. Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
I'm saying all the time. Think but action, not just because even in science, sometimes it's science because now we talk a lot about science because of the virus and everything. But usually the science, the scientists, they stay, they develop news, but they put in the, they keep it and they don't use that. This we have to do this relationship between science, between the technology, but the human being, the life itself, You have to apply this knowledge for the real life.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful I got the chance to meet you, and I'm so
Me
looking
too.
forward to our next conversation here. And
Yeah.
where can people find you? Like, where's a good place if somebody would like to
I'm
connect with you?
everywhere, I'm a guy, I'm doing a lot of things. I have to learn that from the Americans, like to put everything organized, all the links to the works I do. I'm not like this. I'm really free. I do, as I said, I'm surfing in life. So when I have a new idea, I go to find, so I have to be more methodical in this. You can find me in Instagram, for example, because in Instagram I use like a diary. So I mix the works with the travels and sometimes just a beautiful image that I like. I think Instagram, you can use these kind of platforms just to get together the people who think the same way as but not just to falling, because I'm not this kind of follower, that goes just to see the dress or what kind of things they are eating, but the way they are thinking.
Yeah.
So I have the Instagram. It's Paulo G.M. Gomes, and you can meet, you can you can see me around. Now I start a project in Africa as well that I love. It's a continent that I think we have a lot of things to do there. So in Portugal as well, and in the States I want to start as well. Yes.
Well, below they have your bio and your links anyway, so they can catch you there. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It was
And
a pleasure
thank
having
you
me there.
for all you've been doing for the world. Because, like, I think sometimes
Uh,
we forget, because it's us, we're being ourselves, and we don't see the effect that we've had in truly being the pioneer. And you've been such a pioneer. So, thank you for you.
Very much.
And,
You too. Pleasure. That's a
and
pleasure.
I look forward to seeing you once there's no more lockdown.
Yes, soon. Next week, after tomorrow, I think it will be more calm, I hope.
Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you, Laleh. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to having me there. Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone, for
Bye-bye.
being here. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here with us, whether you were listening or watching. We are so grateful for you, and we need your help. We would love to spread the seeds of wellness all around the world. Will you assist us? You can subscribe below. You can subscribe in Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We are everywhere. And we ask, would you be willing to actually spread this to others that you may know who can actually be contributed with the tools and resources to bring more wellness into their life and into their bodies?